If you think you've seen the best from Apple, well, think again. The maker of the iPhone, the iPad, and Mac products could have something even juicier in its product pipeline. An Apple executive dropped the news bombshell. It was heard around the world.
We're not smart enough to do 100 great things. We want to do a few really incredible things, and we're focused on that. And that hasn't changed. And it's been, keep going down the path we're going of building great products. And later this year, we've got the best product pipeline that I've seen at Apple in my 25 years at Apple.
Some claim, but can the company live up to that bold statement? Here to talk more about it is Andy Hargreaves. He's senior research analyst with Pacific Crest Securities. Andy, welcome. Good to have you with us. Let's start with the Beats deal. Apple paid a lot of money for some headphones and for a streaming music service that is nowhere near the top of the heap so far. How do you grade this acquisition?
Well, it's graded on a few different levels. I think financially, I'd give it a pretty good grade, actually. It's headphones, but they're really expensive headphones that probably make very good margins. So I think the multiple that they paid on the hardware business is probably pretty attractive. For a strategic kind of vision, I would grade it fairly low, primarily because Apple needs really, really big markets. And music is a large market, but on Apple's scale, I would have hoped to have seen them try something bigger.
Andy, I want to ask you about that soundbite we just heard from Eddy Cue. Best product pipeline I've seen at Apple in my 25 years at Apple. Do you buy the hype?
Yeah.
Or is it for real?
Well, that sounds pretty aggressive. I would say the product pipeline they had in early 2007 was probably pretty tough to beat in the history of consumer electronics. Even for Apple now, they'll probably have a couple bigger iPhones, and maybe that's what he's referring to. I'd be really surprised if you had anything sort of similar to what we saw in 2007 in terms of impact to the company, though.
Tell us how you view the stock right here, Andy. I noted today that the stock is trading at its highest level since I believe it was the fall of 2012. It's up there pretty high. Where do you think it can go?
Yeah, our price target's $650, and that's based in large part off of optimism around the iPhone 6 cycle. Quite honestly, once you get into that, I think we're going to be faced with pretty significantly decelerating and possibly even declining profit levels again. So we like it right now. We like it into the iPhone 6 cycle, but unless they launch some pretty massive new product or service between now and then, we'd be more likely to be sellers above that 650 level than continuing to take our target up.
And that's not so far from where it is today.
It's not so far from where it is today, no. It's been a good stock.
Yeah, it's at 635 now. Well, let's talk a little bit about the future. On Monday is Apple's World Developers Conference. Usually they don't say too much to move the needle, but are you expecting Tim Cook, Apple CEO, to say something that's really going to pump up the volume and enthusiasm for Apple investors?
Yeah, not really. There's always the outside chance, and management certainly has been effusive, I guess, in their praise of the pipeline. So maybe they come out with something that surprises us, but I'm not expecting a whole lot. I'm expecting it to be mostly software updates that people are fairly well aware of at this point.
They still have very good share in the smartphone market, particularly in the United States, but Samsung has certainly nibbled at that business. They have not been blowing away the music world since streaming has come on with Pandora and Spotify and others. Is this company as innovative as it was 5 years ago?
Well, I think so. I think part of the issue and part of the knock on them not being innovative is they're rhino chasers, or they're unicorn chasers, something even more rare than or bigger. You had the iPhone, you had the iPad, and it's just really, really hard to come out with products that address that big of a market and have that big of an impact on the world. And I think they try, which takes a long time. So I think it's still an incredibly innovative company. I don't knock them for that. I just think it's a really big company. It's hard to move the needle at big companies.
All right, Andy, thank you very much. Interesting conversation. We appreciate it. Andy's with Pacific Crest Securities.